folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris once again. Hey folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt Africa here on the Indaba Africa channel, part of the Indaba Broadcasting Network. Sometimes that's a mouthful. Anyway, folks, welcome back. For those of you here earlier for the live stream with Dahl and Stanford for the Major League Rugby season preview, thanks a lot for that. And those who didn't catch it, shame on you. Where were you? Go back and watch it. Anyway, but seriously, those of you tuning in hoping to see Debbie Els, Debbie had to beg off last minute. And I thought that I was going to have to just cover the events and riff on my own. But very generously, I have a guest who's agreed to come in. Like when I say short notice, I mean literally short notice. So with that, let me welcome my guest in and make sure she gets her mic off mute. And here you go. So let me get her over here. And is it Saskia Langeveldt, I think is your name, yes?
Saskia Langeveldt. Thank you, Chris. And thank you very much for the invitation.
No, it's my pleasure. Okay, so let people know. I mean, literally, you got asked, what, 10 or 15 minutes ago probably, right?
10 minutes ago. I was getting ready for bed. Here I am.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And for those tuning in who coming in now, Debbie Els will be on the program tomorrow night. Things happen because of the coordination for Saturday's World Rally for Freedom. She had some other coordination that had to be taken care of. Otherwise, a rally is not going to go the way it's supposed to. But Saskia, can you tell us a little about which group you represent?
Yes, thank you very much. I represent SAHARI. South Africa has a right to ivermectin. And we are an advocacy group fighting for the right for every single South African to have access to ivermectin for free. We believe it is a life-saving drug, and we are very proud that we are in a coalition with the Coalition of the Poor, and together with them we are fighting to have this medication made freely available to each and every person in South Africa.
Okay, so I did get the word. Okay, that's the flatworm medication that people have been losing their minds over. Okay, I got you. Okay, so
that's it.
You guys are going to participate in the events on Saturday, the 20th of March, correct?
Correct. We are. We're definitely participating. And the reason why we are, well, initially we were requested to please join in on the event on Saturday. And the Pretoria branch that actually contacted us said to us that we are definitely of critical importance to be a part of this, because ivermectin has the ability to bring health and freedom back to everyone. Once this tyranny of the lockdowns have stopped, we can get back to our lives. Our economy can get back to what it was supposed to be. People can start getting their jobs back. And ivermectin can do this for us.
Is there a lot of ruckus on your side? It sounded as if somebody was moving a bakkie or a tractor there.
That would be my neighbor. Okay. But I have now showed him, please, I am busy in a live interview, so he'll be quiet from here on out. Sorry about that.
You know, that's okay, but people are like, strange background noise. Yeah, it sounded like somebody's trying to restart a tractor. I didn't know if you're on a farm or if you're living in town.
No, I'm not on a farm. No, we're in town, and it's just the farmer, the neighbor that was busy moving his vehicle. So I've now showed him, please, can you just quiet down a bit?
He might want to take that vehicle to the shop. It sounds a little
under the weather. Well, it is a cruiser. It's a VX cruiser, so that is what it sounds like.
Okay, fair enough. So the rally you'll be participating in Saturday it's the one in Pretoria, yes?
Correct. We are in Pretoria. We'll be kicking off from Zambezi, and we are meeting there at 10 o'clock, and then we're going to do a slow drive with motorcycles and cars all the way down to the Union Building. Once everyone reaches the Union Building, there will be a stage set up. There will be speakers. There will be singers. It's going to be a day full of knowledge and education. And we are going to be spreading the word and asking the people to open their eyes to what's really going on in South Africa at the moment. And just asking them to please take note of what's happening.
I saw that Daniel van der Westhuizen will be there performing, I think, on Saturday, yes?
Yes, and Gunther as well.
And Gunther, yes, that's right. Yeah, that should be quite amazing, I can imagine. Yeah, so the things people are concerned about here, we're not talking necessarily about medications or this and the other, but really this is a rally about a whole raft of, I do know the word and I'll use it, totalitarian measures the governments around the world are imposing on their citizens. Now, here in the U.S., we have a constitution. It's being trampled on a daily basis, but in South Africa, you also have a constitution, a very liberal constitution. And I remember that the North Gauteng High Court declared most of the early lockdown restraints to be unconstitutional in June of last year, yet the government still continues with these measures. That seems quite odd to me.
Yes, my opinion on that is, although it has been declared as unconstitutional, every single shop in South Africa still has the right to admission. So although mask wearing is considered unconstitutional, you'll be kicked out of any establishment if you're not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And I believe that is pressures from higher up. So even though the shops do have the ability to say that, look, you are welcome here without a mask, they won't do that because there are pressures coming from a much higher level, putting their businesses in jeopardy, and they're not prepared to do that, which I guess you have to understand.
Well,
but
yes.
There's a whole different thing at play.
Well, absolutely. But I mean, certainly one can have empathy for shop owners and for retailers, given what they've had to go through this past year. I mean, some of the brilliant decisions by the National Coronavirus Command Council, let me just run through a few of them and see if these sound familiar to you. Let's see. No cooked chicken sales, no open-toed shoe sales, no alcohol. That one I might be able to justify, maybe. No tobacco. Still scratching my head on that one. Oh, yeah, let's see. If we want to keep people apart physically and not entering shops and spreading a contagious disease, let's shut down e-commerce because, everybody gathers at the warehouse to collect their things from e-commerce. Did I miss it? I'm sure there's more of these business restrictions that I probably missed.
Oh, many of those. And we have our conspiracies around it. We, without getting too political, the black market thrives in South Africa. The only cigarettes that were available to buy in South Africa came from a certain company line, which is the owner of the company is the son of a very prominent political member.
Jacob Zuma.
So that member, that business, that black market was thriving. So if you really have a look at it, it makes totally sense that they stopped, for example, tobacco, because the businesses that were due to thrive under the lockdown absolutely did. Same with alcohol. I can't tell you what the black markets were like. We were trading in South Africa. It was the most amazing thing. I would leave a packet of potatoes at my driveway and a friend would drop down a liter of milk and she takes the potatoes. That's how we were going. The price of pineapples, the price of yeast just skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's because people were making home brew.
I tried. It wasn't that good.
No, I don't recommend it unless you're a skilled craftsman. It's craft beer makers. I know folks like that. It's a hobby here. It's a big hobby here in the U.S. But no, I don't recommend it. The couple in the Western Cape who drank homebrew and died, that was pretty frightening stuff. Yeah, but yeah, that's what it was. People were buying the pineapples so they could ferment it, and then the yeast so they could make beer or chibuku or whatever it is they were trying to make. It's pretty scary stuff. And it's been up and down. The standards have been up and down. They've not been consistent, and they don't seem to really match. They try to slow things down and reduce the number of cases, and they put measures in place. Then they lift them when the cases are still high, and they put them back. It's hard to keep track. I mean, you must be like feeling like a bouncy ball there, like you're living in a bouncy castle in South Africa.
No, definitely we do. And it doesn't make sense. And that is what agitates the people. Yeah. If they don't, it's one thing saying that we are installing these measures. That's fine if we understand it. But if it doesn't make sense, if I'm not allowed to buy open-toed shoes, like, I don't know, does Corona attack your toes?
Well, no. I can't explain it to you. The major vector for that virus is the big toe.
Okay. No, I understand it. Now I can accept it.
The big toe is responsible for countless cases of that virus, and so we must stop people. No.
But I have to tell you, South Africa is a much more intelligent virus than you guys have in America. Sorry to say, but it's much more intelligent. For example, here in South Africa, our virus knows that it should target the beaches.
Well, yes,
but it knows that Makru or any other big retailers is not a good place to go to.
Well, no, and apparently it's this virus magically is afraid of combis too, with 27 people jammed in space for 9 people.
And of the dog. It's scared of the dog.
But you understand what the restrictions of the beach were for, right? I mean, I told people this. I warned them about the second and third wave. The wave washes up on the beach, so you can't go on the beach.
Of course. Yeah, and that's how they are currently predicting the next waves. They are looking at the sun and the moon and how the next tidal wave is going to come in. So now everyone asks, how do they calculate when the next wave is happening? I'm like, the moon cycles, obviously.
Now, we joke about this because it's just so sad that it's actually entertaining it sometimes. But the situation last year, I mean, and not to get too personal, I mean, you don't have to answer the question if you don't want, because we didn't have a chance to talk ahead of time, and I don't know you from Eve, and you don't know me from Adam, so I don't want to put you on the spot. But has this been a difficult year for you and your family and your extended family as well? I mean, a lot of people I know in South Africa have lost their livelihoods. I know people whose businesses are folded because of these ridiculous restrictions.
Okay, so let me explain to you. We run a family business with about 400 employees.
Okay.
So we are responsible for 400 families' livelihood. And it has been very difficult. I can, with a lot of pride in my heart, say that we were able to pull through lockdown without having to 1 month say we have to give you a reduced salary, or maybe not a salary at all. We haven't had to retrench any employees. That was very important to our company. And for my husband and I, month after month, praying. It's the 24th of the month. How are we going to pay salaries by the 26th? And just by some miracle, the 26th, we're able to pay those 400 people salaries. So we have been very, very fortunate. But we have seen other parts of our business that have really taken a huge knock. And that's just financially.
Sure.
You know who's really taking a strain? The grandparents. Telling them, sorry, the kids can't come visit anymore.
Yeah.
I had my 10-year wedding anniversary, my birthday, my daughter's birthday, all during level 5 lockdown. Events that we couldn't celebrate. I couldn't even see my parents on my birthday, or my daughter couldn't even see her grandparents on her birthday. Yep. So those type of things definitely were hard. Losing touch with your friends going through a difficult time, either financially or emotionally, and you can't hug them. How do you not hug them?
Well,
those
I
definitely were very difficult.
We've seen those things play out here, especially here in Pennsylvania, neighboring New York and New Jersey, where governors put COVID positive patients into nursing homes where the oldest and frailest of people were, with underlying conditions and compromised immune systems. And you can only imagine what happened. And they covered it up, and it's only now being revealed. It was revealed last year, but the media didn't want to run with the story. And only now, when it's convenient, will they actually tell people after thousands of people have died. And the worst part for many of these people is that not only did their parents and grandparents or great-grandparents contract this and die in a nursing home, they couldn't go see them. They were prohibited from visiting, so they died alone. And it's a horrible situation. Last year when this thing kicked off, the reason I started my program was, just to let you know really quick, Saskia, is that I, after leaving active service, I started a consultancy focused on Africa, trying to get American business to get into Africa so we don't fall behind. And the lockdown started. All of my consultancy things started falling off the table. And I said, what am I going to do? I said, well, I'll make some videos about, issues in Africa, see if people are interested in it, and then I'll promote my consultancy. And I quickly noticed that once the lockdown started here in Pennsylvania and then in South Africa, that South Africa is especially draconian, and that people are going to be stuck at home, and you're going to be around family members that you don't spend 7 days a week with, 24 hours a day, which is going to lead to anxiety, gender-based violence, spousal abuse, rape, potentially incest, which people don't want to talk about, but these things happen, and alcohol abuse. All these things are going to happen. And I was concerned that, you've probably watched DSTV. I mean, you can only watch so much of that before you want to, bang your head against a wall. So I figured I would create an alternative outlet and see if anybody's interested. And that's really why I started. I had the channel, but people encouraged me to do a live stream. And that's why I started doing live streams, to help people not be socially isolated, not have the mental isolation. And since I'm an American with a strange accent and speaking about South Africa, I think a lot of people really glommed onto that and they found it interesting. So that's kind of why I went after it. But this is exactly what predicted. We have all kinds of children with social anxiety disorders now who've been denied schooling opportunities. Imagine the children who are toddlers, who are learning to socialize with adults, whose face is covered all the time. How do you know what the expression is?
I know.
How can you identify anger or happiness or joy or when you've misbehaved? It's just absolutely insane. So I'm sure it's been a very difficult year, but bravo to you and to your husband for managing to keep your company together, for one. Two, you haven't made your employees redundant. And three, you didn't have to lower their salaries. That's amazing. And well done. I guarantee, without even asking to get into details, I know it had to be very difficult to pull that off. And you probably made a lot of sacrifices personally.
No, most definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely.
So kids still not back in school, or is school going on, or what's going on at this stage?
School's going back on again. So the kids are back at school. But just to mention, you just mentioned about the kids and the masks. It is amazing how a drive started in South Africa, Talk with Your Eyes. How we've started to teach our children to talk with their eyes.
Well, not just talk with your eyes, but it's just how you shake hands now. Give me a break.
Yes. And we also teach our children that if you sneeze or cough, you need to do it in your elbow. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure how that works, because now we're sneezing into our elbows and greeting each other with elbows.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, because I went to a hockey game, ice hockey recently, and they're allowing in 15% of the max capacity. So you can imagine an arena that seats 10,500 people, and they can't have more than 1,500 people. So there's huge gaps everywhere. But I stood outside where I'm not required to wear a mask, and I'm a healthy person. I don't have underlying conditions. And I'm standing there, and you should have seen the people approaching the arena with their mask on from outside, giving me these dirty looks like I'm Typhoid Mary or something like that. So I put my mask on before I go in the door, and then I watch each of them, because there's multiple doors on both sides of me, give me the dirty looks, grabbing the door handle with their bare hands, opening it up, putting their hands up against the glass, touching all the little bins where people put their stuff in to go through security. And I'm like,
exactly.
Do you have any concept of infectious disease and epidemiology? You're looking at me like I'm freaking Typhoid Mary, or I've just infected you with Ebola, and you have just touched all the surfaces, and you think that mask is going to protect you? Give me a break. It's crazy.
No, definitely. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more.
So going forward, where we're at now, do you see hope? I mean, listen, someone asked me when Ramaphosa lowered the lockdown standards. Well, actually, I'm sorry, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and the NCCC did that, but not. Yeah, let's be straight about who's running the country. But when they lowered the lockdown, and Cyril shared it with us, when they lowered the lockdown standards to level 1, but they retained lockdown conditions from level 2 and level 3, even though it's level 1, I'm still scratching my head on that one, because I did read the publication what the levels were when they published it. They're just picking them at random now, like out of a hat. It's like Gryffindor, Hufflepuff. They're just picking whichever. They're going through the sorting hat and picking restrictions. But when they did that, they did tell us that it was lowered. And a lot of people who watched my program have said, "Hey, Chris, so will they extend the state of disaster or emergency, whatever we're calling it there?" And I said, "Of course they will. Why do you think they're going to lift it? It's worked so well. No one's asking questions. No one can do anything. Everyone's kind of constrained." And like, no, they're going to lift it. And I said, well, you're crazy. So it has been extended for another 30 days. And I predict on the 15th of April, it will be extended for another 30 days. What are your thoughts on that one?
They will keep extending it until whatever plan they have has been completed. My question is, what is this doing to the poorest of poor?
Yeah.
The people who are prohibited to go to work because of lockdown levels. What is it doing to them? The people who have to stay at home without an income. That is what bothers me the most. It's great for us who are middle class or high class or the elites to say, okay, level 3, I can't buy alcohol.
Yeah, it's inconvenient.
What about, it's inconvenient.
But it's life-changing for people in the other.
It's life-changing.
Yeah.
And those people are really battling. And there is just absolutely, during lockdown, there's just no way for them out. There's no way for them to make an income. These are people that are domestic workers that have to go to people's houses. And now the elites are just scared that they're going to bring in some or other virus into their homes. So they tell them, oh, sorry, no, you have to stay home from now on. And this is all driven by PCR tests, which we all now know are faulty. And the government then decides, okay, now this is the level that we're on. That freaks everyone out. Fear pushes in, and everyone starts saying, okay, now you need to stay home. Mm-hmm. No work, no pay. And these people just don't have any other option. They don't have the option for healthcare. Some of these people are working in factories under terrible circumstances where no personal protection equipment are given to them. But the government never mentions anything about that. They say, okay, you're allowed to do this, you're allowed to do that, but you can't do this. But there are certain regulations that are just not being upheld by some of the companies, and they are putting employees at risk. And the employees being put at risk are those that don't have the means to go to a private hospital, to go to a doctor, to get the medication that they need. They need to suffer. And that's what bothers me the most about these levels and changing it and using it as fear mongering, because that's what the government is doing.
Well, absolutely. And I think what really bothers me about this, and this is a personal view, I don't know your thoughts, you don't have to weigh in on it, but as I've been telling people for a number of years here, I wasn't particularly harsh on the ANC, at least until the ICYMI years started. I mean, I was very generous prior to that. But when the state capture started becoming quite obvious, it was pretty clear what was going on. But I have not been easy on the ANC of late. And I have told South Africans that the ANC doesn't represent white, black, or brown South Africans. It only cares about 500,000 cadres. That's who they care about, the cadres, or whoever is, connected to the cadres with the tenders and things like that for BE and such. And it is very heartbreaking to see this, because we hear this constant discussion about, like, now school fees, these students having these protests about, not being able to pay university fees and demanding free education. Well, that's one argument, but the argument that the Department of Education doesn't have any money is another argument. But in Gauteng alone, 551 million rand was spent cleaning schools that had been vacant for 4 or 5 months between June and September. 551, R500 million was spent hiring contracts to get people to come in and to clean schools that you and I could have gone in with a mop after 5 months and cleaned up. It's crazy.
Yeah, Chris, with respect, I want to correct you there.
Okay.
That money wasn't spent to clean schools.
Oh, I know it
that
is.
Money.
You're correct. Go ahead.
No, you get my drift.
Yeah, exactly.
It was to create the illusion that it was.
Exactly.
And
no,
I do absolutely, I have to agree with you. But what was really eye-opening for me in the last couple of months was the reaction of the DA.
Yes.
The DA running the Western Cape. Some of the decisions they've made have been absolutely blatantly disregarding the health of their people. I have been shocked. I actually really want to get to the bottom of that. I want to understand what the thinking of the DA was. Mm-hmm. It's shocking to see what's currently happening in the Western Cape, and that is under the leadership of the DA. So yes, the ANC has its faults, too many to mention. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting the feeling there are many political parties that are following suit, and the DA has been the first one to show their true colors.
Well, one of the things I've told people is ever since 94 and ever since the Constitution was rewritten in 96 and came into effect in 97 is that South Africa's not really a democracy. And people look at me like, what are you talking about? It's not democracy. It's not. It's not. You don't get to vote for people. You vote for political parties. And that sends a very clear message. What matters in South Africa is not representation of the people. It's representation of the party. And you see it play out with the African National Congress, whose presidents frequently point out that they're the president of the ANC first and then the president of the Republic of South Africa. I have a real problem with that. I also have a problem with the fact that nobody voted Nelson Mandela to be president or Ramaphosa, except members of parliament, who, of course, didn't run for office. They say they stand for office. They're not standing for office. They're on a party list. And if you get 60%, then you go down to first, and there you get 60%. That is not a true democracy or even a representative democracy. That's just, it's a farce. I'm not being harsh. I'm just my view on it. And
no, it's true.
Until you have direct elections, because here's what happens. You talk about the Western Cape, but when the ANC got control of the Western Cape through a coalition a few years back, they deployed their cadres to the Western Cape. And of course, these are Venda and Zulu and Swana speakers, and they don't speak Afrikaans, which 2/3 of the people in the Western Cape speak. Half are colored, and 17% are white, and about half those speak it. So about 2/3 speak Afrikaans. That's the language of the Western Cape. They go down there. They don't look like the people down there. They don't have cultural affinity with the people down there. They don't know the climate down there, and they are supposedly there to represent those people in Parliament. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke.
No, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I agree.
So let's see. What do I want to broach here next? What do you hope for? I mean, the municipal elections are supposed to be coming up, and I've told people, if in fact they do happen, that this is a grand opportunity. But I see all political opposition parties squandering the time they've had. Since lockdown was eased in June of last year, because, it was a serious lockdown. You couldn't leave your house. Then it was eased a little bit in June. Since then, I said, you need to be out in townships. You need to be in mining camps, in hostels. You need to be in rural areas. You need to be in suburban areas. You need to be everywhere in the country. If you're a political party, telling people what your message is, how you can fix South Africa and what you can do for them. I don't see it. Am I missing something? Or maybe someone's out there doing it. I'm just not. Okay.
No. And you have to ask yourself why. Now, obviously, I just have my own personal opinion about it. Mm-hmm. I won't be preparing for anything and throwing money behind a campaign for an election if it's not going to take place very soon. Mm-hmm. So somewhere someone knows these elections are going to be extended. Mm-hmm. These elections are not going to take place. Don't think that the timing of our predicted next wave, the moon told them, the planning of our next wave coincides with our next elections. It's not a coincidence. Mm-hmm. They are going to use the third wave to extend the date of the elections. And I think all of the parties know this. Mm-hmm. So they are not going to be spending money now going out and advertising their and proclaiming their goal to the people when they know that message will be forgotten by the time we ever do come to our democratic election time. I think the one thing the political parties are not bargaining on is the power of the people, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's not a political party, it's the people. I don't believe ever in the history of South Africa you have seen such a diverse group of people. And if I have to speak about SAHARI on its own, mm-hmm. I can't speak on behalf of any other organization, but on behalf of SAHARI, the diversity within the group, it's something phenomenal. I don't think any other organization has ever been able to bring such a diverse group together. And SAHARI's been able to do that because we are all fighting one common enemy. Mm-hmm. We all have the same goal. We are uniting for each other, for ourselves, and we truly believe that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And that is also what Saturday's demonstration is going to show. I mean, just the worldwide demonstration rally, the Rally for Freedom, the Pretoria region has 29 organizations that are in coalition with them. 29 different views, 29 different agendas, and yet they all come together to fight what is currently happening in South Africa and in terms of the lockdown. 29 different organizations to work together on one plan is not easy.
No, it's not.
SAHARI has, even if you have to include the censorship that we've got, we have over 100,000 members.
Wow.
How do you bring that together? It's not 100,000 white or black or Indian or which religion or which language, or it doesn't matter. It's every single race, gender, religion, everything brought together, because everyone is fighting the same goal. And the political parties must be aware, because the people are waking up. They are opening up their eyes and they are seeing what's currently happening. And they're seeing who are currently supporting them during this lockdown and who is causing the demise of South Africa.
Well, it should be interesting because I think that in 2019, South Africans did vote with their voice. 17 million eligible voters didn't bother to rock up at the polls. To me, that says something. The people disillusioned, didn't want to be part of it. But as you point out here, if the African National Congress and even the DA think that they have a guaranteed portion of the vote, they better take a hard look in the mirror, because an awful lot of South Africans, whites, coloreds, Indians, blacks of all different ethnicities, are hot full of the ANC. Yeah. So now you talk about parties not doing stuff, and you actually said something very illuminating. It's a good point that they probably have known all along the ANC was going to postpone or try to delay these municipal elections. So why bother wasting your money? Fair point. But my suggestion, unrelated to that, doesn't take money. It takes people being engaged in neighborhoods. It's, for instance, we always hear that the DA is a party of the whites, yet the majority of people are in colored. So colored folks who live in colored neighborhoods can go to colored neighbors and encourage them to join the party. You've got to, in Gauteng, 17% of people who are black who voted in 2019, despite the abysmal performance of the DA, voted for the DA. So that was 17% of the vote right there who are black South Africans in Gauteng. That's a ripe population that's already angry at the ANC, and that's only going to grow. So it'll be interesting to see what South Africans do. Will they not go to the polls? Will they coalesce around a coalition or a different party? And which party will that be? But I know very well, as you do, a lot of people are very angry. Now let me shift a little bit here. So, and it's hard for you to say probably, but you probably have a sense of this nonetheless. The people that work for your company, I imagine they're pretty grateful that the place didn't go under, that you kept them on, and that their salaries didn't get cut. So I'm guessing you have probably a pretty loyal workforce.
I would hope so. Yes. We definitely. You see, it is difficult. We weren't able to give increases this year, but we pride ourselves to say that we were at least able to, throughout this whole lockdown, we've been able to keep the salaries going. No one has had to take a salary cut. And yes, we do have an extremely loyal workforce. We have people who have been with our I've been with our company since I was 17 years old. Mm-hmm. And that was long before I married into the company. So we do have people that have been there for much longer than I have. And that is just because we take care of our people and we have their best interests at heart. And that is ultimately, isn't that what any person wants from leadership? Is to know that the person cares about you and they do have your best interests at heart, and everything we do is to protect you. That is what every single person wants from leadership, whether or not it's the company you work for, your husband that's leading your household, or a wife that's leading the household, or the country. That's what we all want, is just to feel safe.
Well, I can relate to that with nearly 4 decades in uniform about leadership and being a leader and caring for those that you're responsible for and looking out for them. That is a really important aspect. I agree. Just to let people know, to be clear, my apologies. The screen is small. Some people are watching mobiles, and you have the same hair color, and from the angle, you have the same sort of look as Debbie. So Debbie is not here. That's not Debbie Els. That is Saskia Langeveldt, who has kindly joined me on virtually no notice to come on here to talk about the events on Saturday. So we're just going a little bit beyond Saturday, but talking about what's been happening over the past year. And so Debbie will be on tomorrow night at 2109 p.m. for you civilians out there. That'll be tomorrow night. She'll be on for the late show. And you can tune back in. Also, Yassine, who's organizing the events in Cape Town, will be on tomorrow at the regular time, which is 1800, 6 p.m. South Africa, Botswana, Namibia time. And that would be at noon Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. So, Saskia, where do you get your passion from for this? I mean, get involved in causes like this. What drove you to do this? Were you just hot full at something, or something happened, or have you always been a person that's passionate about trying to change things?
No, SAHARI changed me.
Okay.
Into an activist. I wasn't an activist ever before. I was scared, and I was looking for answers. And I had family members very sick with COVID. Mm-hmm. I had a whole family of 6 members that were sick, and 5 got ivermectin, 1 did not. Mm-hmm. The one that did not, we had a funeral on the 5th of January.
Sorry to hear that. Condolences.
Thank you. And that it scared me. So I went searching for information about ivermectin and joined every single Facebook group I could. And obviously typing in ivermectin, SAHARI came up. Mm-hmm. So I joined the group, and I then saw an advert that our founder and leader, Shabnam Palisa Muhammad, had posted saying that she'll be doing an interview with Dr. Pierre Corey. And by then I was a huge fan of Pierre Corey of the FLCCC. Mm-hmm. And I just knew I had to watch this interview. So I literally just tuned in to see Pierre Corey. But by the end of that interview, I realized that Shabnam Palisa Muhammad and the whole SAHARI group was much more than just an information portal. Mm-hmm. It was an advocacy group, and they were fighting for our right to health, for my right, my children, my family, my parents, my grandparents. Who else is doing that? I would dare you to tell me which other organization in South Africa is fighting for us. I used to be a huge DA fan. Mm-hmm. In the Western Cape now, they've completely, irrespective of the High Court ruling, the DA has now completely banned ivermectin in the Western Cape, as if they are above the law. After ivermectin, the science has been proven. Ivermectin works. The DA goes and blocks it. So who's fighting for me? Not the DA. but SAHARI is. So I actually initially just raised my hand and I said, listen, I'll admin on one of our Telegram groups. And it kind of just grew from there. And I'm currently the national coordinator for the People's Medicine campaign. And the People's Medicine campaign is the campaign we are running to spread awareness and education about ivermectin. And it falls under SAHARI, which is one of the very first campaigns that we are running under THJ, which is Transformative Health Justice. So the work we are doing here does not stop with ivermectin. Transformative Health Justice is going to go far, and it's going to touch on every single inequity that there exists within South Africa in terms of health for our people. And it just, I don't know, it just excites me. It keeps me up at night. I'm making videos, I'm doing research. I'm enjoying it so much. I just can't get it out of my blood now.
No,
so I'm a very new activist.
It's activist or not, I don't think I ever think of myself as an activist, but definitely someone with a cause, and I appreciate that. So, of course, my cause was national security and defense, and so I can understand the passion when you get behind something that really matters. But isn't it strange how you're going through life and you're just raising your kids and running the company and probably going shopping. I don't know if you go Checkers or ShopRite or wherever you go, but doing shopping and maybe going to the theater now and then, going out to dinner, and then all this stuff comes along and it gets you down, and then you watch this interview and suddenly you're like, wait a second, I can make a difference here. And you are.
Thank you very much. But you know what it is? It is the absolute shock to realize that the question you've been asking for 22 years, I'm almost 40 years old.
I didn't ask her. I didn't ask her age, folks. Just make sure that's clear. You never ask a lady her age. Anyway, so almost 40. Okay.
Thank you. I'm 38 at 2 weeks time. To find your purpose, if you've been asking yourself for 22 odd years, what am I meant to be? What am I supposed to do? I'm good at a lot of stuff. I can admit that without even hesitating. There's a lot of things I can do. Mm-hmm. But there's very little I love doing. Mm-hmm. So to really just at this age find your passion, it's liberating, and it's very empowering.
No, that's awesome to hear. Well, let me ask this question. It's not related to Saturday, but since we're all on this line, because I find it fascinating, and I think that our viewers are enjoying it as well. So when you talk about going forward after all of this pandemic, scandemic, whatever's going on here, there's a real virus, but the political nonsense isn't genuine. Mm-hmm. But once this is over, if assuming it never ends, and I can cut my beard, but you talked about medicine in a wider context there, and I got the impression, that's why I'm asking you, got the impression that you're concerned about inequities in medical care in South Africa. Is that what you were referring to? Like, for instance, if you live in the Northern Cape, maybe you don't have a proper hospital nearby and you get inadequate general practitioner care, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. That is the goal of THJ. Transformative Health Justice is we need to transform the health system, and we need to make sure that everyone has equal access to the medical treatment in South Africa. Mm-hmm. Ivermectin is going to be rolled out. It's not a question of if, it's a question of why. And with the forming of SAHARI, and through talking to people and just picking up all of the injustices that are happening, we just realized listen, something needs to change here. And that is why our core leadership then decided we definitely need to start THJ, and we need to take this further because there are so many more aspects that need to be touched on. We had an awesome interview with, and the lady's name now escapes me, but she's from the Young Nurses in Durban. And some of the stuff that she has told us, it was just amazing, the inequities that are busy taking place currently. And someone needs to stop it. Someone needs to address it, and that someone is going to be THJ. Yes, the lady's name was Lerato Mtuzi. Okay. Lerato Mtuzi.
Well, here's something else, too. You mentioned earlier a very diverse group of people involved. From what I've seen, people work together, whether it was, the biker rally that took place over farm murders last fall, well, summer for you guys, fall for us. Southern, northern hemisphere sort of thing. But whether it was that or, I've seen the march in Cape Town. I've seen other marches, and I see whites, coloreds, all sorts of different black folk out there. There seems to be a coalescence of South Africans, regardless of how politicians try to put you in a little box. You're Venda, you're Tswana, you're Afrikaans, which means you're racist because you're white. They put you in this little box. Yeah, so it seems like South Africans are like, no, we don't want to hear it. We are South Africans, and we want to come together, regardless of what the government's doing. Is that a real sense for you? It sounds like in SAHARI that is the case, but are you getting that sense in a broader context or no?
Have you ever read the book, The Art of War?
Of course, I'm a colonel. I've read that many times. I used to teach it.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's exactly what our government needs to do. They need to keep us divided. If they can't, then I've said it before and I'll say it 100 times. The power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And as long as everyone starts believing that, and the whole community starts pulling together as for one cause against the government, they cannot keep us divided. And the mistake they made is they created a common enemy.
Yeah. Oh, are you still there? Oh, thought you froze.
Yes, I'm here.
It looked like you froze for a second there. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's absolutely crazy stuff. So on Saturday, you'll be there, and
Yes.
I'm not even going to ask because I don't want to know the answer. I know that there's been a nationwide coordination effort with local SAPs and city authorities in different locations. And at least one city, there's been a road bump as a consequence of that. But these are things you're obliged to do as citizens, coordinate these things. I don't know what's going on, but the demonstration that they organized in Cape Town, they were limited to 500 participants. and they adhered to it. But I imagine if there were no constraints, we would probably see tens of thousands of people, but we're probably not going to see that Saturday. One, because some people legitimately have genuine fears about COVID and concerns about it. That's fair. Okay. And others, because people are just not accustomed to getting out and being amongst other people. And then, in fact, if there are restrictions, that's going to limit how many people out there. So I'm not going to judge Saturday in South Africa as a success or failure based on the number of people show up. Unless it's a lot of people, then I'll be it's a rousing success. But are you guys concerned, or you just want to raise awareness and draw attention to it?
No, I'm not concerned at all about the number of people that join. What I'm concerned about is that the people's ears need to be open to hear the message, and their hearts need to be open to receive it. And I need people to walk away there starting to ask why. Mm-hmm. That's all. And even if only 500 people pitch up in Pretoria on Saturday, those 500 people will hopefully go and tell one other person. Mm-hmm. There will be live feeds on the day. And I have to explain it this way. We have the People's Medicine campaign. Mm-hmm. Now let me explain to you about Ubuntu. I am because we are. Yeah. I had a woman calling me just before our very first event. And she said, no, she wants to do an event in Sabi. And I said, oh, but we don't have anything planned for there. I can tell you, Chris, it wasn't 2 hours that everything was arranged. She had people pitching in to get couriers down to Pretoria, pick up flyers. She had companies just approaching her and telling her, listen, we'll help you. We'll do a stand. We'll buy flyers. We'll do this. We'll do that. And that is just Ubuntu. That's just a nation coming together and understanding that I cannot be without you. And similarly, you cannot be without me. And it takes a community. It takes a village to raise a child, you know that saying? And it takes a community to bring this forward and say, we are standing together. And I don't care if I don't have anything to gain in this. I want to be a part of this because this is something much bigger than I am, much bigger than one person. And I'm doing this for everyone. This woman in Sabi, her name is Deborah, and they are having their event on Saturday. And it's going to be a roaring success because the community has come together. Mm-hmm. And just by word of mouth, everyone has gotten to hear about this. And that's what's going to happen on Saturday, even if 100 people pitch up. Even if 100 people pitch up. And yes, I know about the issues that are being that they are now currently, look, I was just approached by Worldwide Rally for Freedom, but I do know that they have difficulty with permissions and so on not being in place. You know what will be, will be. Mm-hmm. We are going ahead. Nothing is going to stop us.
Sounds very determined. So along those lines, without getting too personal, but just curious, you are married, and I assume your husband's behind you on this, but does he help out, or is it all you on this effort?
Oh no, he helps a lot. Each time I make a post, he tells me, "Dis pragtig." So mooi. So yes, I have this little supporter here at the back end, and he helps hand out flyers and that. But no, this is my baby. He just literally supports me because he knows a happy wife is a happy life.
Good point there. So Saturday, hopefully it's going to go really well. I will be covering the event live, which means I'm up at like 3:00 in the morning again. But that's
sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. It's when the biker rally took place, that was awesome. I was up on the 6th of October, the first day of events at Senecal. I was up early in the morning. On the 16th at Senecal, I was up at 2:00 in the morning to cover that. And then Brockenfell, all these major events. It's not a problem. It's just that I'm just thinking to myself, I'll be up really early for that. In fact, if I get up for King Goodwill Tswelethini's funeral tomorrow, I'll be up at 4 this morning broadcasting, or this coming morning. So I get accustomed to it. You know, I was in the Army, so no one notices. But it's so I'll be covering the events live and bringing in some of those live feeds, also bringing people in. So if you'd like to call in at some point, what I'm going to do is make a Zoom link available to people, and they can pop up, and I can bring them in if you want to, if you have Zoom on your mobile or something like that, and just join in. Just, give an update or something like that if you like. I do have coverage of Bloemfontein, and I have coverage of Pretoria, but having other folks in Pretoria is always a good thing if you want to call in. Cape Town, I expect to have
very much.
You're welcome. Cape Town, I expect to have coverage as well. So I think it's important because one of the nice things about my audience is not exclusively a South African audience. It's a South African audience, an African audience, South African expats, and an international audience. We have people from Nepal who are Nepalese who watch this program, in China and South Korea, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Germany, Finland. We have a viewer from Finland who tunes in. Yeah, and she's not.
Hello, Finland.
She's not off her cons. She just found the content compelling. So we try to spread the word and let people know about it. There isn't much attention to this event here in the United States. The only thing that's I've seen is Newsweek did a story about it, in which they talk about this rally for freedom, and they say it's part of the LMNOP Anon conspiracy, without saying that phrase to get my channel cut off. I'm not aware it has anything to do with that Joker or whoever that false flag operation is, but they also claimed it was a white supremacy thing. That's what Newsweek magazine said about the events this coming Saturday, and no other major media outlet is covering it all here on this side of the Atlantic, and I can't find any in France. Can't find anybody.
Nothing
in
in South Africa.
Yep. So I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised because a lot of people simply don't know about it. So that's one of the reasons why I want to get people on. So we're not cutting off yet, but I do want to thank you again for coming on here on no notice, because that's awesome. Because we were expecting Debbie to be on here, and so you now talking about it, and then Debbie tomorrow, and Yassine tomorrow, and then hopefully on Saturday it'll be a good event, and we'll try to get the word out there so that people can know about what's happening, since the media doesn't want to cover it. They can't be bothered.
Chris, I just have to say, from South Africa, from the Worldwide Rally for Freedom Pretoria chapter, from SAHARI, from THJ, thank you. We need more people like you, just making people aware of what's really going on and just spreading the word. And very, very little media outlets are prepared to do that. They're all paid. They are bought off. There are very little independent news broadcasters still out there prepared to speak the truth and speak truth to power. So we'd really like to thank you for doing this for us.
No, it's my pleasure. And unless the plug is pulled, I'll keep doing it. And I have alternate platforms if it does get pulled. It's crazy because I'm not one of those lunatics that spins conspiracy theories and offers crazy advice or tells you to invest in gold or in Bitcoin or something like that. And I just simply tell the facts and I'm objective about it. And I think that's what scares some folks. And so they got to silence it. But here's a good example of what I was just talking about there, Saskia, is that one of my viewers just said, this is the first time I've heard about this on Saturday. See? There's one person.
How sad is that?
That is very sad.
It's a worldwide demonstration. The media is censoring it.
I've got someone here. SPM Talks says, I'm happy to speak for Durban and KZN. Chris, I take it you're going to be there, SPM Talks. I don't know if you know that person because they were cheering you on at the beginning. They're great to see you on here, Saskia. But SPM Talks, you can
SPM Talks will be our leader.
Do you know who SPM Talks is?
Shabnam Palisa Mohammed. She is the founder of SAHARI and the director of THJ. So she is our very brave and fearless leader.
Could you do me a favor after we finish or when you go off air, if you could send my contact information in Telegram to her so she can contact
I'd love to.
And then just get us linked up and then and I'll touch base with her. And if she'd like to come on and talk about your organization separate of this event, I'm happy to do that. Like I said, you and I were talking just before the stream, and many of my viewers know I view anybody that's interesting, and that can be a former panel beater in Pretoria who got tired of fixing cars, and he liked to paint, and he said, "The heck with this." After 17 years of fixing cars, he took a chance and he went out and started selling his paintings. It was pretty tough at first. Dax had a hard time, but eventually people started buying his art, and he was doing well. He actually made more money selling his art than he did being a panel beater. He was much happier. Then COVID came, and they shut down all the exhibitions and all the fairs. But he survived, and he's still painting. So whether it's someone like that, or it's Liesl Pretorius, the head of the Macadamia Nut Association of South Africa, or Steve Hofmeyer, or yourself, I'm happy to interview anybody that's interesting, and we do that on the program. We also interview people from all groups and anybody that has appeal. So I'm happy to bring her on, and she's in Durban.
Thank you, definitely. Cool. Yeah, she's in Durban. Yeah, so they'll be representing SAHARI at the Durban event, because as you know, it's across the whole of South Africa for Saturday's event. Mm-hmm. And we have a very exciting, very diverse group of speakers. If at all you can, watch the Durban speakers. It's going to be amazing. I personally know the people that are in the lineup, and the music lineup is also amazing, but the speakers are going to blow your mind. So keep an eye on Durban. And then also the speakers we actually have someone at one of our members speaking at the Cape Town demonstration, which is also very, very touching. I don't want to give his story away, but it's a very touching story. And it's about loss and knowledge and education and how it changed his life. So definitely also something to keep an eye on.
Marilyn Brokenshaw is asking if there's a Johannesburg event. There is a Johannesburg event, but I don't have the details. A lot of these details haven't been released because people are still trying to firm up, get approval. So I don't know if they've finished the approval of Johannesburg. I think it's going to be in Johannesburg proper and also one in Soweto, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know for sure, but that's what I've heard.
Yes, that is correct. There is a Johannesburg and a Soweto event, but I do believe there has been some difficulties in terms of the permissions. So I'm not sure if the organizers are going through with it 100%, but what I'll do is after this interview, I will make sure that I can get that information for you and post it to this link.
Now, Abigail Forbes is asking if there'll be an event in Berna. So I don't know if there's an event in Berna, but I think there is one in Port Elizabeth. No. Sorry, it's my pronunciation's a little off.
I could tell you so many jokes about that, but I'd rather not.
I'm just saying, So anyway, no, I don't know the answer on that one, Abigail. My apologies. We'll try to get that up. Abigail, I think you've been here before, but if you haven't, I might be mistaken with someone else. Subscribe to my channel. I will put an update on the community tab as I confirm each of the times and locations. I've already put a few up there now, and hopefully I can get more information on this because it's a grassroots thing. It's not being organized by a political party. It's a worldwide event, although you would know it in the United States, but it's a worldwide event. And so getting the information, a lot of people putting a lot of hard work and time into it, but they're busy connecting with people, and it's sometimes hard to get the correct information. But we do have the correct information for Pretoria. We know exactly. So Saskia, if you could tell folks again where they're meeting at, where they're going to, and what's going to happen on Saturday, if you don't mind, because people tune into the stream late. They don't all show up when we start.
Please. Okay, so everyone that is in the Joburg or Pretoria area, since we don't have information on the Joburg rally just yet, please meet us at 10 o'clock in Montana at Builders Zambesi. Meet us there. From there on, we will be doing a slow drive through to the Union buildings. It should take about an hour or so for the slow drive. We will stop at Union buildings, and that's where the stage will be set up, where speakers will be ready, where music lineup is on. SAHARI will be there handing out flyers. It's going to be a colorful united, diverse group of people. I'll be opening the day with prayer, which I'm very honored to do on behalf of SAHARI. And then we have our lineup of speakers and musicians, and we can just chat and talk about lockdown and how we see this going forward. And we need to decide what our healthcare for the future needs to look like. It is in our hands. No one else can decide that for us. But we need to know what we want. We need to know what our vision is before we can approach anyone to say this is what we demand. And we will not settle for anything less. So see you at 10 o'clock, Zambesi, Builders.
Now, is that Builders Warehouse? Is that what we're talking
about? That's it.
Okay. Yes. Just make sure I'm straight on that. So listen, when you're there, say hi to the Khoisan for me. One day, maybe we can convince the African National Congress to recognize them as South Africa's first population. Although I doubt that, because that will be an admission that the Bantu are colonizers like Europeans. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, but we're very honored to have them there on the day.
No, they're awesome. Well, they're there all the time. They're waiting. They're trying to get an audience with the president, which isn't happening. But no, they're awesome. They've been involved in all this stuff: the farm murder protest, the bikers rally, the car rally. They're great eggs. It's that's a compliment, by the way. When I say great eggs, as opposed to spoiled.
As a rotten egg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're great eggs. So they're good folks, and it's great to see them there, and hopefully, maybe someday the world will pay attention to their situation. They've always gotten a raw deal, unfortunately. But so it sounds very exciting. Pretoria, Joburg, Soweto, Cape Town, Durban, Bloemfontein. I'm not sure where else, maybe Port Elizabeth, but certainly those places. And like we said, a lot of people watching my program didn't even know about this, never heard about it. It's fascinating how easily such information can be suppressed.
No, definitely, especially on our platforms that we're using in South Africa, on Facebook. Our members are in jail more often than not. So it really is very difficult to get the word out there. And I can tell you now, if everyone in South Africa knew about this, everyone in South Africa would be there. No doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, it's absolutely. People discovering what's actually happening. It's got to be frustrating for them. But let me ask you a personal question here. Not too personal, but Saskia. Okay, is that like that's not an Afrikaans given name, is it? I mean, it sounds like an Eastern European sort of given name.
Yeah, you say it with a bit of a Saskia. Yeah. The Saskia.
Okay.
Saskia.
Okay.
It's Russian.
Thought so. Aha, Eastern European. I thought so.
I'm not Russian though.
Yeah,
it was just the first doily pattern that my mother could heckle. The pattern's name was Saskia, and she liked it. So. That's what she called me.
It's a pretty name, but it's not a standard kind of name you find in an Afrikaner or an English-speaking South African. Not. So I was just curious about it.
I do like to pretend if people are being nasty to me that I'm Russian. Just kind of makes them a bit more wary of me.
Well, you just tell them gangsters, and they'll back off.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting name. That's why I want to ask it. Everyone's got a story, and some and most people have an interesting story, even if they don't realize it. Although I suspect you probably realize you have an interesting story. Your calling that you found here, I think, is a fascinating story, and I'm really grateful that you came on short notice. By the way, we got a super chat from Francesca saying good job, and for some reason didn't come up. Oh, I know I didn't come up. I've been getting phantom super chats. I was sitting here, and like super chats from 2 weeks ago start running across the screen endlessly and disturbing the chat. So I turned it off so it wouldn't be disturbed. So Francesca, thank you for the super chat. She said, good job. Super sticker there. I appreciate that. That's kind of you. We didn't miss it. SPM Talks says, well, okay, listen, I don't think SPM Talks is entirely objective here. She says, beautiful name, Sassy Saskia. Okay. And Jack's telling me there's two different sources of the name. One is North German, Northeastern Netherlands origin, where it originally meant a Saxon woman. Okay, I'll buy that. But it's also Russian. I knew it was Russian. That's why I mean it's used in Russia. That's why I said Eastern European.
Can I tell you what is the weirdest thing? Is
sure.
I've always known my name to mean the meaning of my name being protector and helper of mankind.
Cool. That's awesome.
And that's what I'm living out now.
Pretty cool. So Saturday, this is going to irritate a lot of motorists. You said slow drive, right?
No. We just friendly. It's just a friendly way of asking them to join in.
Well, I suppose that's true. So I always wonder when you have the cars going slow like that, because cars really do obstruct traffic. And then compare that to the biker rally. And I think a lot of people are afraid to approach bikers. They're just like, oh, okay. They just kind of step back. But it should be interesting. Have you been involved in something like this before, a protest rally or something like this?
First for me.
First for you.
But yes, but before I go ahead, I want to answer two questions. First of all, the bikers in South Africa are a totally different breed.
Yeah.
They are the most loving and generous and compassionate people you could ever meet. Mm-hmm. Irrespective of their looks, those are the people that you can rely on no matter what. The bikers in South Africa. Secondly, we'll only be occupying the left line. Very left, far left. We're taking the far left.
Not the political,
believe it or not.
Not the political far left.
The very far left lane, so that the traffic can still go ahead uninterrupted. Because we don't want to irritate people. That's not our goal. Our goal is not to irritate people.
Well, I was going to say that, the one saving grace when it comes to the non-UK world, non-Commonwealth world, is that we drive on the right side of the road, the correct side, rather than the left. Now, people always, they ask me if you ever driven to South Africa. I said, yes, I have lots of experience driving on the wrong side of the road. I'm accustomed to it.
Wrong side to you.
Of course, wrong side to me, yes. No, but people, they're always like, but here's the thing. So when I was stationed in Botswana, in Gaborone, I would drive to work with my own Forerunner, which is like a, what's the Fortuner, but a bigger with an 8-cylinder.
Fortuner.
Yeah, Fortuner. So
it's a beautiful vehicle.
Well, the Forerunner is bigger and it has a V8 in it. So I would drive with my American left-hand drive from my office or from my house to the office, and then I would immediately get out and get into my Toyota Land Cruiser, which was a right-hand drive, and it wasn't automatic, it was a standard. I'm left-handed, so switching from not shifting, driving on that side, going right to work and getting on the other side and shifting with your majority hand was as a skill you have to develop very quickly so you don't have an accident. So, but no, I've left-hand side in Scotland, in England, in Wales, in Ireland, Northern Ireland, in New Zealand, in South Africa, Mozambique, Swaziland, Lesotho. Everywhere. So, if people are like, is it hard? No, it's just something you get used to. So have you been on this side of the pond? You ever been over here?
I went there 11 years ago for my anniversary. We went to Livigno. We went skiing there.
Where?
Livigno. It's on the border of Italy and Switzerland.
Oh, you were in Europe. No, I meant in the U.S. Yes. You ever been to the U.S.?
No, not in the U.S.
Oh,
no.
Okay. No. So you went to the Alps in Italy then for skiing?
Yes.
I used to live in Italy. I lived in near Vicenza, so a little town called Gricignano di Zocco. And quite lovely. It was with the Alps were right behind us. You could see them about 30 miles away, 50 kilometers.
Beautiful.
Short journey. Yeah, it was beautiful, except in the summertime when all the pollution hung around. But anyway, in the air. But other than that, it was pretty good. Okay, so anything you'd like to share with us? I don't want to rush you off, but I don't want to keep you longer than you want to be here. If you want to stay a little bit longer, we can chat a little bit more. Or if you want to, you got anything more to share?
No.
Okay.
I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Well, let me look in the chat and see if there's any questions over here that anybody came up with. There are a lot of complimentary things for you, Saskia. People saying some really nice things. Now, again, some of these people are a little bit biased. SPM talks, we have to take that at face value.
Yeah, let's not listen to her at the moment.
but there is some actually some.
But you need to get her on your show. If
will.
You want to hear a dynamic woman speaking, you need to get her on your show.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Once you send me that information, we'll get her on here. And just in case anyone's new on the channel, you start to put an email address or phone number in. Don't be shocked if it disappears. My moderators have strict rules not to leave email addresses or mobile numbers in the chat. It's for your protection because that data is siphoned out of there and misused by people and people doxing people. So we don't do it because we dislike you. If you want to contact us, there's a way to do it. Just go to my community tab on the channel and you can send me an email. You just click on that little about, go below. It says reveal for business inquiries. It's a business inquiry. Click on it, show you're not a robot, and my email address will be revealed. And then you can send me an email. So just do that. So on Saturday, what do you think the biggest challenge is going to be for you guys? Getting the word out, or I don't think it's organized. It sounds like you've got it organized pretty well already.
It's organized very well. Nadine has been managing everything in Pretoria, but I just wanted to confirm with you. So you say, what is our biggest challenge on Saturday? Mm-hmm. Are you talking about on the day itself? What we expect to be the biggest challenge?
On the day itself, yes.
SAPS.
Would you say SAPs?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What are you concerned about? Or not concerned, but what do you think that might be an issue there?
Well, what I am concerned about is under law, they need to first tell you that you're protesting illegally.
Mm-hmm.
Please leave. And then traditionally you would say, oh, no, no problem. I'm leaving. And then you walk 2 meters and then you just go ahead over there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm concerned about is and then eventually they can break us up. And the group organizing the event has already said to me that if SAPs come to us and say that you need to disperse, we need to disperse.
Yep.
And I'll respect that.
Yep.
But it's going to be very difficult for me to disperse once every single person there has heard, and I'm speaking from my point of view of SAHARI, until I have given a flyer to every single person on the day. It's going to be very difficult for me. Mm-hmm. I think there is a message that everyone needs to hear. And if SAPS then decides to disperse us before we are able to give our message, that is going to be the biggest challenge for me. I don't want that to happen. Leading up to the event, our biggest challenge is getting the word out, getting people there just to find out what's going on. We've had people sharing the group link where it just disappears off their Facebook. And unfortunately, currently, everyone has Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's just disappearing off their pages. So getting the word out of the event has been very difficult. So we're just doing everything we can with Telegram. We even still trying WhatsApp and Facebook to get as many people as possible there so they can hear the truth.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to hear the truth. Leading up, that's my biggest concern.
No, that's a fair point. It's fascinating to see what little reporting, as I mentioned, Newsweek report on this, and they act as if this is subversive. I'm sorry, but I grew up with the U.S. Constitution, and I'm very familiar with the South African Constitution. Freedom of assembly, the right to seek redress from your government, freedom of speech. This isn't subversive. This is simply exercising your inalienable rights, your God-given rights, and your government-conferred rights, to endorse that. Or am I missing something? I mean, it's no different in South Africa. You have a right to assemble. You have a right to seek redress from your government, to express your grievances. Do you not?
We are supposed to, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's the key. Supposed to, that's right. Now, just to let you know something, on the 6th of January, I was at a little rally with 500,000 people.
A little rally.
It was a little rally. Apparently, according to Democratic members of our government, it was an insurrection. I didn't see an insurrection. I did leave at 2 o'clock, though, before the criminal trespassers broke into the building. But, they call it insurrection, but I haven't seen too many insurrections where nobody had weapons, no firearms, no artillery, no cannon. And 500,000 people just walked away when it was over. But anyway, so yeah.
No, I have to say this is going to be a peaceful demonstration. Mm-hmm. I have to say that loud and clear. This is a peaceful demonstration. This is South Africans who want to have their voices heard and who want to hear the truth. This is no way in coming. Yes, we want freedom, and yes, we want to be free of this tyranny that's busy going on at the moment. But we are not there to make any trouble. We just want a safe space to gather. That's all.
And that's why I want to help get the word out, because what little word has gotten out has been deceptive about what's happening, at least from what I understand and from what you've shared with me. And so it's important to get the word out. Brett Sessions gave a super chat, said farm murders are hate crimes. Yeah, any murder is a hate crime in my book, but I get what your point there, what you're saying, Brett. So, but it is, Saskia, it is a little concerning, is it not? I mean, it is to me. I've been railing against it for months now. Just how easily governments and how comfortable they were taking away people's liberty, even when it was unlawful for them to do so. The governor of this state, the governor, Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania, his actions were declared unconstitutional by a federal judge in Western District of Pennsylvania months ago. And he still marches on with his what I would say is criminal conduct, because he's violating the Commonwealth's Constitution and our national Constitution. The governor of Michigan, her own Supreme Court Michigan, declared her actions unconstitutional. And the press can't be bothered to talk about it. And a lot of people just, okay, get ready for this. You don't have your earpiece in, do you? It just, It's I have a little sheeple sign here that I put up, and so let me see if I can get that to fit on the screen. But so many people are just sheeple; they just so easily accept the law. There it is. The sheeple's on the screen now. Don't be sheeple. I just put that on the screen. They so easily accept it, like, okay, well, the government means well. They're doing the best for us, and while no doubt there are some government officials in governments around the world that are that way, banning open-toed shoes, I don't see how that helps curb a pandemic.
Yeah, you see, ignorance is bliss, eh?
Yeah.
And so many people believe that what the government is currently doing for them, they are doing for their own good. They're trying to protect us. Just look at our government installing all of these measures. There has to be a reason. We might not understand it, but there's a bigger picture. And I want to say, yes, there's a much bigger picture. If you can just open your eyes and see what is really going on today.
Brett just gave another super chat, and he made a very good point. He said, if students can protest for, fees must fall again, then surely your guests can protest as well. Fair point. But I suspect, actually, I know that my guest and those involved in the protest she's involved won't be burning tires, leaving refuse and rubbish laying about in the streets, harassing motorists, and forcing businesses to shut down. I know that there'll be law-abiding citizens who adhere to their rights and simply seek to have their voices heard. Did I get that right?
Chris, one of our points that we discussed was that after the event, all of the organizers and the coalitions will stay behind, and we will be cleaning up the area afterwards. So any pamphlets or papers, a cool drink box that was dropped by a 7-year-old, whatever the case may be, we are going to be cleaning up. And even if there's rubbish left behind from whoever had a picnic there earlier the morning, we will be cleaning that area up. So no, what you have seen on mainstream media about protests in South Africa, I have to first of all say is very selective, what has been sent out to the world. It's very selective images. It's repeated images. It is not how every single protest in South Africa goes, most definitely not, and is not how this one will go on Saturday.
Yeah, no. As a journalist and as a former counterintelligence agent, when I look at crowds, I always look for certain things. I'm looking for crowd dynamics just by default because it's something I'm accustomed doing. I'm also looking, like when I was there on January 6th, I'm looking to see where security is and where it's not at, and when, ingress and egress, and how you can get in and how you can get out. And then as events wrap up, I'm always looking to see what kind of detritus, what kind of refuse people leave behind if that actually happens. And so smart organizers like yourselves, you realize that you don't want a bad image attached to what you did, so you're going to make sure that nothing's left behind. So that's very smart, and bravo to you guys making sure that that gets taken care of. Let me take the sheeple off here so people don't think that we're sheeple. We're just telling people not to be sheeple. It's a lovely little cartoon that one of my viewers made for me and gave me approval to use. I put it on some T-shirts, so it's on my merchandise store. Yikes. Well, after Saturday, what's the next step for your organization? You're going to continue to, you're going to have another rally of your own rally, or are you just going to continue social media presence, or how does it work? What do you guys got planned?
So we started on the 27th of February, and we're running up until the 27th of April, where we are running with the People's Medicine campaign. Mm-hmm. It was a huge coincidence that so we've got a couple of events booked during this period, and one of our days was the 20th of March. Mm-hmm. And that coincidentally coincided with the Worldwide Rally for Freedom. And on one of Shabnam's videos or live feeds that she did on SAHARI, a member actually commented there to say, but listen, we've got the Worldwide Rally, won't you please join us? And she said, okay, well, let's discuss. And that is how we actually got involved with the Worldwide Rally. But we are definitely not stopping after Saturday. We have actually something very excited planned for the week after Saturday. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind that 21st is Human Rights Day.
Yep.
And we have a right. And those rights have been stripped away from us. And we, as SAHARI, has something very exciting planned for the week after that. But I'm really not allowed to say anything right now.
No, that's all right. We're going to get SPM Talks on here. Maybe she'll spill the beans.
She's entitled to it. It's her plans. But yes, we're very excited about that, and I believe it's going to cause a a big stir up. It's going to make people aware of what's really happening, and it's going to make certain organizations in South Africa that have been adamant to block us just to sit up and take notice of us. We are not a little Mickey Mouse group of 5 people trying to throw our weight around. We are 100,000 plus members. We will be heard. And next week, we are going to make sure we're heard.
Saskia, I have to say that 100,000, that's incredibly impressive. I mean, I look at Stop Farm Murders, which has been a group for a while, like on Facebook. I don't know how big the group is, but the Facebook group is 81,000. So if you guys have got, triple digits, 100,000 members or 100,000 people supporting, that's impressive. And how long has the group been around?
The Shabnam will have to correct me. I think it's the 4th of January. It might be the 2nd, but if I can remember correctly, it's the 4th of January.
So it just started this year.
Oh, yes, 2021.
Okay, listen, when we get off the air, I'm going to need some help because my subscriber base is stalled at 21,000. I need to know how to get that thing back on an upward trajectory since you guys clearly know how to get people to come over. Maybe I need to join your cause to get some audience members here. But no, but seriously, dates matter. You mentioned the 25th is Human Rights Day. That does matter. Also, it's probably good that this is occurring on the 20th because the rest of the world doesn't know. But in South Africa, if it had been on the 21st, it would have been problematic to do it. It's the anniversary of the Sharpeville massacre in 1960. And that probably would have caused a contention with people. What are you doing having this on, because people remember Sharpeville. And so, but dates do matter. So the 20th of March and then the 25th. So now I'm really curious. We have to get SPM on here. So we find out what's going on, what's coming up. But that is incredibly impressive. Such a large number of people have gotten involved. It says a couple things up front. You guys are very effective at getting someone's attention despite suppression, and people must really be enthusiastic or encouraged or want to be involved in what you're doing because they have real concerns.
I want to add a third point. People are hurtful.
Well, I already said hot for
and actually,
times.
yeah, and scared, and people are scared. And ivermectin is the answer to COVID, preventative and for treatment. We have seen it over and over and over again, irrespective of all the evidence or the research that can definitely just not be rejected anymore or doubted. We see it in our groups. We have Telegram groups that have thousands of people on those Telegram groups. We have a national one, and we have one for every single province. The stories that are coming out there is amazing. Health, healing, saving lives. That's what ivermectin does.
I should say something very quickly so that the AI and the censors at YouTube don't come after me. Neither of us are offering medical advice. In South Africa, the medication she's talking about is legal. It's available and people can get it. So just make sure that the AI that's listening, you're clear about that. No one's offering medical advice here. So just so you know that. I think the artificial intelligence does watch my streams. It's one of my biggest viewers.
You should feel honored. You're doing something right.
Well, I don't know about that, but I don't know about feeling honored. But anyway, yikes. So yeah, but that's wow, 100,000 in such a short period of time. Can you imagine if only people were able to freely find out about your group and your activities? I mean, if you weren't getting links pulled off of other social media sites, how big you might potentially be at this point?
Yes, no, definitely. We actually estimate that we're currently under a shadow ban. So people are really battling to get to view our posts. Mm-hmm. It's not popping up on their news feeds anymore. So we have to now keep on reminding our users or our members to please go and say, I'm looking for SAHARI and show newest first. And they are taking down our admins. We have SPM has received so many warnings from Facebook. I think she's actually currently in Facebook jail as we speak. So it has really been very difficult, but we won't stop. And that's why we go to ground. That's why we have printed an excess of 20,000 flyers to nationally hand out, because no bot can stop me at a robot.
No bot can stop me. Well, you want to hear my story about robots in South Africa?
Please do.
Okay. So first time I drove in South Africa, on the wrong side of the road, by the way. First time I drove, I was in Joburg, and I left OR Tambo, and I hung around Joburg for the first couple of days. And I drove downtown, and as I drove down the street, it was painted directions on the street and it said robot ahead. And I'm like, R2D2? Robot? Robot? What? What robot? I was actually kind of expecting like a little automated traffic cop or something to be out there. No, it's, like waving a flag or something like that. And then I finally dawned on me, that must be what these folks call a traffic signal, traffic light. It's funny because nobody else in the world calls it a robot. Only South Africans call it a robot. It's pretty funny. So anyway, that's my robot story in South Africa. So. All right. Well, what we'll do is you're going to send me in through Telegram afterwards. You're going to send me, if you don't mind, links to the groups. Okay. On Facebook or wherever. And I will put that in the video afterwards. I'll put that in there. Also, you're going to link me up with SPM and we're going to touch base. And that's great. So listen, I can't thank you enough. I mean, literally on the spot. I mean, you're Johnny on the spot, as they say, although with this case, it'd be Jane on the spot, I suppose. But wait, how many genders are there? I'm sorry, I get confused. Anyway, I get confused. There's so many.
They were ready when you called.
But yeah, so thanks a lot for coming on for such short notice, and good luck on Saturday. Again, I will send you a link to my Zoom session for Saturday. So if you're inclined, if you don't forget me, or if you get a chance, you want to pop on, just do it. I might have someone else in the stream, or I might not if people abandon me, and then I can bring you in or drop you off, and you can pop back in. So if you want, it's
thank you very much for the invitation. I do appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Any final words other than no medical advice recommendations are coming, AI? Just letting you know that now. Any final words before I let you slide out here? It's getting late in South Africa.
Final words. We as a people need to realize that we are worth more than what we think. We've all heard these conspiracy theories, and it's only a conspiracy until it's proven true, that AI is going to take over the world and we will be useless little creatures, just like we walk in a park and step on hundreds of little ants without even knowing it or even caring about it. That's what the human race will be in 20 to 30 years' time. I want to tell you now that I believe that we do still have a reason that we are here, and we still have a vision and a mission that we need to complete, but we need everyone to stand together. The only reason SAHARI works is because we are doing it for the people, for our members who we love dearly and who respect and just absolutely trust and support us. And we thank you all. And we want to ask each and every one of you to be there on Saturday. Come join us, come show your support. You don't have to do anything. You can just stand around, just hear the message, just sweep it up and just take it home and go pass that message on to someone else. And that's all from me. Thank you very much. And Chris, thank you so much for inviting me, or accepting me, I'd rather say. Thank you very much for accepting me on your channel. And it has been an amazing experience talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
No, it's my pleasure. And I'm going to have to figure out how I can marry into this 400 employee company. So I'll figure that out in a future stream. Anyway, thanks a lot, Saskia Langeveldt. Thank you very much for being my guest. I appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday, and I'll look forward to your message here shortly. Lots of great things coming in the chat. People love your energy. They're thanking you, and they're saying you're a great example. And so, yeah, there you go. Saskia Langeveldt.
Wonderful. Thank you to your viewers. Good night.
Ciao. All right, folks, I'll let her drop off. There you go. That was Saskia Langeveldt, who filled in on virtually no notice because Debbie Ells was not available. She had to cancel last minute and postpone until tomorrow. So if you want to catch Debbie Ells, my apologies. She'll be back on, well, she'll be on tomorrow at 2109 p.m. South Africa time. So my apologies for that. But also tomorrow, Yassine, who is in Cape Town, the organizer for the World Rally for Freedom on Saturday, will also be my guest at the regular time, noon Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. South Africa, Botswana, Namibia tomorrow. So feel free to check in on that. Yassine is pretty dynamic himself. It should be a fascinating conversation to talk about what's happening in Cape Town tomorrow. And we just had, of course, Saskia Langeveldt, who is from SAHARI, which is an organization working on medical issues in South Africa, and I'll leave it at that for the AI. Anyway, so she was just on. Thanks a lot to my guest, and then Debbie Ells tomorrow night And we've got a few other folks coming up. By the way, for those of you who have been with me for a long time, you remember I went to Wyoming in September to work with that event with the Wyoming Catholic College, in which we went to the Wind River Range over 10,000 feet in altitude, carrying 90 pounds in a rucksack. All these special forces, Delta Force, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and me. I was an intelligence guy, worked with them a lot, but was never part of that community. We all went out there and we went and tried to help people adjust to former military service. Well, one of the events we did to start off is we had cowboy demonstration shooters, the guys that have the 6 shooters, and they fire the rifles and the competitions. They were amazing. And right now the plan is that on Friday, 2 of them, father and son team, will be on the program. And that should be something different and interesting. I've been trying to get them on for a few months. They tried to get me, they got in touch with me back and forth. And now we're about to finally get this taken care of, most likely on Friday. So I'll let you know about that, folks. Yeah, Erica remembers that. Yep. Roy says, enjoyed the stream. MF, you're welcome. Brilliant interview. By the way, before I close out, let me just say this very quickly. I've mentioned a couple times here. Number one, if anybody on my channel has an issue with the content or with the way you believe or you perceive you've been treated by moderators or someone else in the chat, I ask that you send me an email. I've had a number of people over the past several months who have not written to me and told me about issues, or they mention it in passing, and then I ask them to explain it, tell me when, and they just expect me to just take their word for it. I can't do that when I have hundreds of people in the chat. I'm running a program, I'm interviewing people, or I'm giving a presentation. It's difficult for me to see everything that happens in chat, so I do miss things in the chat. If you've been wrongly timed out, I usually notice that because I see timeouts, and then I will admonish my moderators if I think it's inappropriate, and they're good eggs. They respect that. I mean, I've put people back in that Hendo has taken out, and Hendo is a very good moderator, and I've done the same thing when Eric has taken people out and other moderators on the channel. So if you have an issue, have the issue with me. But at the same time, if you are given a timeout by one of my moderators, or you're blocked on my channel because something happened, a mistake, or you did something inappropriate, according to my moderators. By the way, my moderators have standards of conduct. I have standards and guidelines for them, which I share with my moderators, and they adhere to them. I don't know other YouTube channels that actually do that. They just appoint people to be moderators. I actually do it based on having talk to people and having experienced them in the chat, and then I give them rules to follow. And if they don't follow the rules, I take them off. I've removed a couple moderators in the past. So what I'm getting at is that don't blame my moderators. If you're angry with them, they need to write to me. And if you're right, then I'll correct the situation. And also, don't blame me if something happens. You know, we have Google AI that pops in here and removes people, and then people run off to other streams and blame me, or go into chat groups, or go, and I've seen it because people send me screenshots. If you think you're anonymous going elsewhere to other people's channels and saying stuff, you need to really realize that the world is a pretty open place. So people blaming me for being blocked on the channel, and I had nothing to do with it. Chris blocked me on his channel. I didn't block you. I've rarely blocked anybody on this channel. I think I've done 2 people who are being obnoxious, racist trolls, and I think that's all I've ever blocked. Now, there's more people blocked because my moderators have taken them out, and it was with legitimate reasons. So I ask that you be cognizant of that fact, and if that. Also, lots of people suggest content. I can't get all the content on here. Also, bear in mind that my channel is under scrutiny. YouTube just removed one of my videos with no justification whatsoever, one from November 12th. And if you go to alternate platforms like Odyssey and Rumble, you can watch the video and you can hear exactly what I said, in which I did not do what they accused me of. In fact, I did what they wanted me to do, and they still removed me with no warning. They just took the video down. Fortunately, I had already downloaded it, so I had that content so I could share it with you on other platforms. So my channel is under scrutiny, unjustified scrutiny, because I'm not a lunatic. I'm not a ranter. Well, I do rant a little bit, but I mean unnecessary ranter. I don't cotton to conspiracy theories. I don't tolerate abuse. I don't tolerate bigotry. I don't tolerate hatred, and I don't tolerate racism. And so I also don't show graphic things. So if you ask me to show something graphic on this channel, there's a fine line. The police shooting yesterday, that's about as graphic as I'm going to get. So if you want me to show something on the channel where I'm not showing it, you need to write to me and not beat my moderators up. I'm just saying to people in general, because this has gone on for the past 4 or 5 months. I've mentioned it occasionally, and I just felt it was time to mention again. So anyway, thanks a lot. Once again, thanks to my guest. That was awesome of Saskia to pop in there. I mean, literally 10 minutes before the show started. So I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but not because of her, because I didn't know her. So SPM Talk, I'm looking forward to reaching out to you, and we'll get in touch, and perhaps we can help you get some more attention for your group. For Francesca says, thanks for sharing your thoughts in South Africa. You're most welcome. D.I. Frater is a little kissing up. Can't hurt, right? Oh, he's talking to Lynn. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Chantel Hannecum. Okay, the only person I know with that surname is Derek Hannecum. Not a fan of his, but I'm sure I could be a fan of Chantel's. Thank you so much, Saskia. Okay. Leo Vince says, thank you, you and your amazing guest. YouTuber bias, trolls, cloner, chats. Luckily, Erica, sort that out. Yeah, it does. Well, that's true. And we've pointed out before. And that's another reason. Sometimes you get timed out. It's by mistake because people clone your account. And, if you get the wrong one in the chat, it happens. I've seen people with a cloned account write a comment and then the real account right below it. And you can see, wait a second, that's a completely different worldview because the clone was ready to put it in and just happened to put it in unmistakably around the same time as the actual person. And the actual person got timed out, not the clone troll. Anyway, all right, folks, I think that's it. I'm going to call it here. It's been a long day for me. I was up at 4:30 this morning, and I did research. I did a news stream earlier today because I wasn't going to be able to do it later. Then I did the live stream with Dolan Stanford, did this live stream almost back-to-back. We started it early. So that's going to be it for today. Check out my content and see what's out there if you want. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Chris Wyatt Africa. Don't forget, we got Yassine, and then we have Debbie Ells tomorrow night. So thanks a lot, folks. We'll catch you later. God bless and have a lovely evening. And thank you for your support. And awesome to see some new people in the chat tonight who came in because we had Saskia in here. It was awesome to have her. Thanks a lot, folks. Let me make sure I've got everything turned off here. And that's it. No Kung Fu. I'm knackered. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Bye-bye. Look at that mess. I forgot to turn those off. That'll mess up your eyesight.